What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with more details on Dana White's meeting with BKFC. Recently, photos emerged showing UFC CEO Dana White and BKFC President David Feldman posing together after a meeting. The photos captured the attention of fans who have continued to wonder just what transpired during that meeting. Following the recent BKFC 57 event on Friday night, Feldman spoke with MMA Fighting where he addressed the photo and opened up on the meeting between he and White. It was more of just creating an ally, that's really all I have to say. It was a great meeting, he's a great guy, he's doing his thing with the UFC, and we're going to do our thing with BKFC. We're going to be the biggest combat sport on the planet. We want to grow our sport. We want to make our sport the biggest it can be. If that means teaming up with other promotions, we have nothing against doing anything like that. While it's unclear how the two promotions could potentially team up, this isn't the first time we've seen the lines between the UFC and BKFC blur. In addition to the boxing promotion signing a number of former UFC fighters, Conor McGregor was also notably present at a BKFC event last year, where he went viral for a stare down with Mike Perry. With BKFC gaining more and more traction in the combat sports community, the future of bare-knuckle boxing seems bright. Next up, let's take a look at Khamzat Chimaev laughs at Israel Adesanya footage. Former UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya is gearing up for a highly anticipated return in 2024 after losing his middleweight title to Sean Strickland in surprising fashion. Since indicating that he'll be returning this year, it's continued to look as though Adesanya will likely compete against Dricus du Plessis in his next fight. However, so far, no date or location has been confirmed. In the meantime, Adesanya is back in the gym training, as seen in recent footage shared on social media. While many fans were impressed with Adesanya's grappling, Khamzat Chimaev wasn't. In the comments, Chimaev shared a series of laughing emojis. Khamzat, of course, is eager to punch his ticket to a title shot after his win over Kamaru Usman last year. While he's been adamant that he is next up for a crack at the belt, it appears as though he'll likely need another win at 185 pounds to cement his status as a title contender. Although fans want to see the two fight, the most likely bout for Chimaev, according to many fans, and Hall of Famer Michael Bisping, seems to be a clash with Jared Cannonier, given the current landscape of the division. Of course, if both fighters wind up winning their next bouts, then we finally may see the two compete against one another. Next up, let's take a look at Ilia Topuria reveals game plan for Alexander Volkanovski at UFC 298. At UFC 298, Ilia Topuria will look to pick up the biggest win of his career and dethrone reigning featherweight kingpin Alexander Volkanovski. Heading into the fight, the MMA community seems incredibly divided on how things will play out, with many fans wondering whether Volkanovski can break the curse and become the first fighter 35 years of age to win a title fight below 155 pounds. With the fight rapidly approaching, Topuria spoke in a recent Spanish-speaking interview with UFC Español to share his prediction for the bout. "I see myself finishing him in the first round. Knockout. It's most likely going to be a knockout unless he dives for my legs. I'm going to put his lights out. I'm part of the new generation of MMA. I bring an evolved style in all areas of the sport. On the feet, in the wrestling, in the grappling. I consider myself a far more complete and effective finisher than Volkanovski. The experience is on his side, but the young blood is on my side. This is my moment." The odds for this bout reflect just how divided the MMA community is on this fight, with Volkanovski sitting as a -120 favorite on DraftKings, while Topuria sits as a +100 underdog. With Volkanovski's sights set on proving that he's still the best featherweight in the world, and Topuria ready to prove that his time is now, the stakes couldn't be higher heading into UFC 298. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at Renato Moicano calls out the MMA guru. Saturday night at the Apex, Renato Moicano made a triumphant return to the octagon after almost a year and a half away, defeating Drew Dober via unanimous decision in a thrilling affair. In his post-fight octagon interview with Daniel Cormier, Moicano took aim at the MMA guru, whose pre-fight prediction didn't sit well with the fan favorite.
"Hey MMA guru, you are pig. You say I would get slapped by the Drew Dober almost 1 year without fighting, and I screwed this. I'm sorry."
Moicano then kept things going on his YouTube livestream, where he once again took aim at the content creator.
"Hey, tell MMA guru that I'm gonna beat his brother on the streets, my friend. Okay? Show some respect."
Former champ Conor McGregor also reacted to the post-fight interview, during which Moicano also indicated that his 62-year-old father just welcomed a newborn baby into the world. The Irish star wrote, "Wow, he has a new little baby brother. That's awesome. Fair play, Moicano Sr. Ha ha ha." In response, Moicano wrote, "McGregor, I'm your fan. I used to hate you because of trash talk, but you changed the game. I respect you. Moicano's eye was notably swollen after the fight, indicating that he may need some time off after the win before fans see him in action again. Next, let's take a look at MMA community reacts to Nick Diaz transformation. MMA legend Nick Diaz recently attended the UFC Fight Night Dolidze vs Imavov event at the Apex over the weekend, drawing some attention from fans. As many were quick to point out, Diaz appears to have been battling a staph infection recently. After Chamat Korsandu shared a photo of Diaz in attendance, fans weighed in with one writing, "With staph." Bloody Elbow Steffi Haynes added, 1. WTF happened to Nick? 2. WTF is on his hand. Another added, "Brother does not look healthy." One member of the MMA community suggested Diaz, who is 40, looks 10 years older than he actually is, writing, "Not gonna lie, dude looks like a 50-year-old right now. Sad." Another agreed, adding, "Man, he looks bad. I guess old fighters don't age well." Another member of the MMA community also added, "Someone do a wellness check on this guy." Since his loss to Robbie Lawler in 2021, there have been reports that Diaz could be looking to compete again after undergoing neck surgery. However, based on what appears to be a staph infection on his hand, Diaz certainly isn't fighting anytime soon. Despite fighting just once since 2015, Diaz was reportedly still in the USADA testing pool after his fight with Lawler and subsequent surgery, with his teammate Jake Shields indicating last year that he believed Diaz would compete in 2023, even though nothing wound up coming to fruition. Next, let's take a look at Chris Curtis gets exposed by UFC fighter. Nasruddin Imavov's victory over Roman Dolidze notably saw the middleweight get into a verbal spat with one of Dolidze's cornermen, fellow middleweight Chris Curtis. The two squared off back at UFC 289, with that fight ending after an accidental clash of heads, rendering the action man unable to continue. This past weekend, in the 4th round of the Dolidze vs Imavov main event, an illegal head kick from Imavov forced referee Herb Dean to call an official timeout, before then deducting a point from the fighter. During the official timeout, Imavov exchanged words with Curtis, before then taking aim at the action man in his post-fight press conference backstage while speaking through a translator. "I was upset because the guy, Chris Curtis, kept talking in every fight he's cornering. He keeps talking to me. It is not his job as a cornerman to talk to the fighter. When I went into the cage against him, he was very silent. He got dominated and even quit the fight because of the headbutt. So I just wanted him to stop talking and let me fight." Given the bad blood between the two, the UFC could look to book a rematch after Imavov's recent win over Dolidze and Curtis's recent victory over Marc-Andre Barriault. However, after his win on Saturday night, Imavov seems to have his sights set on a rematch with Sean Strickland. Next, let's take a look at UFC fighter calls out Islam Makhachev. Since losing to Islam Makhachev in 2019, Arman Tsarukyan has continued to evolve as a fighter. With a 3-fight win streak to his name that most recently saw him finish Beneil Dariush in the first round, Tsarukyan is eager to pick up a win over Charles Oliveira at UFC 300 and punch his ticket to a crack at the title. Ahead of the massive fight, Tsarukyan spoke in a recent interview where he compared both he and Makhachev's grappling. "If we just take freestyle wrestling, mine is better. But if we add on different trips and MMA grappling techniques, his is more interesting. He has very good judo and sambo, which I can't do." As Tsarukyan indicated in a recent interview with Daniel Cormier, his plan is to finish Charles Oliveira in the first round in order to make his case for a crack at the title undeniable. With Makhachev recently indicating via social media that he plans to defend his title twice before the end of 2024, a win at UFC 300 would set Tsarukyan up for a long-awaited rematch with Islam Makhachev. Of course, first, he'll have to get past former lightweight champion Charles Oliveira, who's eager to prove that his first fight with Islam Makhachev wasn't indicative of his true abilities. Heading into the event, it's clear that, for both fighters, the stakes couldn't be higher. Paddy Pimblett reveals his next UFC fight. Renato Moicano went on Twitter to say, "I want to see Drew Dober fighting Paddy Pimblett next. Let's see how tough is this kid." Paddy responded to this tweet by saying, "Why would I fight Dober when I could smoke you much easier?" Renato Moicano replied by saying, "Paddy is calling me out. I'd fight you any day of the week." So it looks like Paddy has his eyes on Moicano next. Who do you think would win in this fight? The MMA community reacts to Robert Whittaker's insane body transformation. Whittaker posted on Instagram with the caption saying, "I'm coming UFC 298," and posted some pictures of his camp where he looks jacked. Here's what fans had to say. "One loss to Drakus and now you look like Iron Man. Jesus Christ, Rob. Yeah boy, I'm keen to see what TRT Whittaker can do. He looks like he's in unreal shape. Let's go mate, you shredded AF. Bro could make 170 again. No USADA, Rob is a mythical fighter." Top comments. Okay, it's obvious no one is getting the marketing aspect of this game. Most fights on the Apex wouldn't do squat as an actual UFC event. The UFC makes more money from commercials, and they don't have to travel and set up for an event. Super smart business move. Also, old school fighting had weekly fights and occasional championship fights. I watched Friday night fights with my pops my whole life. That's what the Apex reminds me of. That's exactly what John Anik was talking about. This new generation of fans are just complaining about everything. We didn't have that problem a decade ago and before. These same people were so offended by the truth they made John apologize. People don't understand how a business is run. Putting on arenas takes a massive amount of resources and coordination. The Apex allows for fights more often. So the question you should be asking, would you rather have no fights that weekend or fights at the Apex? Oatmeal beats no meal, kids. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.